Hello, we're going to draw a line on a subway map. First thing we're going to do is import the subway. Command I for importing. The image should be called Paris.PSD and it should be in your sources folder. Click on it, footage, that should be your default, and hit open. There it is. We're now going to make two folders. Click in nothing. Click on the folder icon, call it comps, click in nothing, click on the folder again, and call it sources. Now drag paris.psd into the sources folder, and that's that. Now you're going to make a new composition. Why not click down in the new comp button? And we'll call this one last name, first name, probably C05. Check your specifications. And speaking of specifications, you want a preset of HDTV 1080-24, and you want a duration of 5 seconds. 0 hours, 00 minutes, 5 seconds, 0 frames. There is your composition. And the composition is open. Let's drop in the paris.psd as our background. I drag it onto the left side here, so by default it should be centered in the composition and it should begin at time 0. But it doesn't fill the comp, so let's make it fill the comp. The shortcut for that is Command, Option, or Alt, Shift, and H for horizontal. And there it is. It fits the width of the composition. If we were to just, there we go, at 88%, at 50%, see it fits the width. It bleeds off the top and bottom, but we don't care because everything that we want is from here to here. So back to fit, either fit, it doesn't matter. And let's draw the line. Now, before we draw the line, we should make sure that no layers are selected, and we should, let's just make sure no layers are selected right now. Paris is selected, so select in nothing. Okay. Select the pen tool. Now we need to make sure that our pen tool delivers the kind of line that we want, and it delivers the kind of shape that we want. We're going to create a shape layer, by the way. Whenever you use the pen tool and no layer is selected, you make a new layer, and that layer is called a shape layer. Yay. So we need to make sure that our fill is set to 0, set to nothing, no fill. So if that's not what you see here, click on the word fill to get your fill options, and click on the first square here, which means none. Select that, hit OK, and now you have no fill. Now your stroke, you should have a stroke. If you have no stroke, click on the word stroke and make sure that you've got a solid here, not a gradient. Those could be kind of funky, but not today. Click on solid. Great, you've got a solid color. But what is the solid color? Well, you could make it anything you want, but today let's make it red. And we'll just go over here to the red and over there, click, and now your color is red. But how wide do you want it to be? Well, today we want it to be, let's see, 8 pixels wide. So you just click on the 72, type in 8, hit return. And let's start drawing. With the pen tool, it works like Illustrator, where you click the pen and you get a series of straight lines. In After Effects, if you wanted to, but we won't, get curved lines, you could select Roto Bezier. But let's make sure that Roto Bezier is not selected today. So let's start drawing. You draw by clicking. So we want to click over at the Charles de Gaulle Étoile station. Just click where the red line is underneath the white blob here. Did you get a click there? No, we had no click. Because this was not selected, clicking in it selected it first. Then you have to click again to draw. So I clicked to put a point there. Click to put a point at the bend. By the way, we're drawing on the orange line, the dark orange line. One there, one over here, one over here, one over here, over here. Do you like the sound of my voice? Over here and under the white blob. Boom. So just to see that we got a line, let's just solo the shape layer. There it is. Yay, we have a line. Now let's just adjust it slightly. To do that, we need to zoom in. Now you should still have the pen tool. You should still have the pen tool selected, but we want the zoom tool. Don't just click on the Z just yet. Hold down the Z, or Z if you're American, and that way you temporarily get the tool. So you click, 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 release, and you know, that made a liar of me. Look at that, will you? You see, I couldn't see that the first time, so it actually did. When I did click in here, it actually did. Look at that, will you? Z again. It actually did make a second point. If you recall, but don't worry about that right now. But we don't want 2 points here, so let's get rid of one of them. With the pen tool still active, if it's not, you can just click on it. Go over this point here. Make it a delete vertex tool right here. Delete vertex. There we go. That's what we want. Now back to the original pen tool. Haha. And let's just move it around. To move it around, hold down the V. Don't hit it. Just hold it down, and that will give you something that you can use your selection tool to move stuff around. Now that's pretty big, so let's just go to, I don't know, 200%. Let's find the next one. Hold down V. Get it in about there. Hold down the space bar now to drag that over. Hold down the V. Should be about there. Hold down the V. Okay, and release it. Hold down the V. Should go about there. Hold down the space bar. Hold down the V. That should be about there. Over here, hold down the V. And the last one, hold down the V to put that on the line. And that should be your line, and it should match the orange line. Let's go back to fit. Now, the next thing that you're going to do is animate this line. And we'll do that by animating the trim paths property for that line. So click on the shape layer, which is the red line. Let's rename it. Hit return, call it red line, hit return again. And now twirl down the triangle here, or click the triangle so everything twirls down until you see this word add and this other triangle and a drop-down menu, and you see trim paths. That's what you want. Now trim paths is now available to us. Trim paths allows us to lengthen or shorten a line. It allows us to draw the line on. In our case today, we are going to animate the end point of the line from 0 to 100. At 0, let's set the end to 0. Let's move to, I don't know, 4 seconds. And drag the 0 value, scrub it as we say, to 100%. Okay, let's do a RAM preview. Now you could do this with a space bar, or in older versions you need to use the RAM preview button. I'm in an older version. Click on the RAM preview button. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see how the line draws itself on. If you want, just to see it, solo the layer, do another preview, and you'll see how the line draws on. If you want to make more shapes, more lines, if you really wanted to, you could draw on the entire subway system. If you wanted the line to draw on in a different direction, or if you wanted it to erase itself, you would animate the start parameter here. I'll leave that to you if you're really interested in doing that sort of thing on your own. But right now we have our red line, but one thing's not quite right. The red line goes over Z. The red line goes over, spacebar, things like at Aubert, there's a circle that goes over, if you'll see, that goes over the line. We want to see that. So we're going to make a circle and a couple of blobs. Let's go back to the beginning over here, okay, to where Charles de Gaulle d'étoile is. Let's make a white solid. Now, the keyboard shortcut for a white solid, or for any solid, is Command Y. Make sure you're in the composition, and the composition is selected. Otherwise, After Effects will not make you a solid. It will get confused, and it will say, where do you want this solid to go? Well, actually, it says nothing. So make sure your comp is selected. Hit Command Y for a new solid. Now, the last solid that I made is a white solid. So it automatically shows up here as a white solid. But if you had, say, a red solid selected, it would say red solid 1, so you would need to go down here, make it white, and it automatically changes the name to white solid. Make sure that it is the comp size. If you made a smaller solid in a previous project, it might default to whatever size, smaller or bigger, that you made it before, and you might have to click Make Comp Size. But because the last one that I made was 1920 by 1080, which is what we want, we're golden, or we're white actually. White solid, 1920 by 1080, and it's white, so hit OK. Boom. It covers up everything. Well, that's to be expected. Let's do Fit again, and it still covers everything up. Just to see where we are, what's going on, let's just hit T for that layer. Reduce the opacity. There we go. That's everything we need. Now, just for the heck of it, let's lock the red line and let's lock Paris, because now we're just going to be working with the white solid. Let's hold down Z and zoom in on Charles de Gaulle d'étoile. Now we're going to make a little mask here to reveal the white layer. We're going to use the pen tool. When you have a layer selected and you start clicking away, you make a mask that reveals parts of the layer that is selected. If you'll recall, when nothing was selected, clicking around gave you a new shape layer. However, if you've got one layer selected, clicking around will give you a mask on that layer. I will demonstrate. Let's draw like we're in Illustrator, and we're going to draw around this little blob here. Drag a bit, drag a bit, drag a bit, drag a bit, and then find the open or the close little icon, not here, but over about there. Click on it, and everything has gone away except this one little mask that we've made. Now we can do that. Let's make our white solid 100%. Now you got something white there. That's just terrific. If we zoom out, you'll see that not much. There's a little white blob right there. Okay, so you have essentially cut out a little piece of that white solid. Now the rest of it is still available for you to cut out and make new blobs with. We'll do that. But first, let's just zoom in a bit again here. And let's select the mask. Let's hit V. Select that one point and just move it around a bit. Select this point here. Let's make it a little bigger than the black area, than the black line, the black stroke. And good. Good enough. Next one. The next one, let's look for the next white blob. Hold down the space bar, travel along the route. And there's one at Aubert. This time we will make a circle. With the white solid still selected, select the ellipse tool, hold down Shift to make a circle, go to the corner. The circle is around here. If you're not sure where it is, hide the red line. There it is. And draw a circle right here. Hold down Shift first. In this case, you can hold down Shift before you draw. Go figure. And oh, let's make it a little bigger. If you want to change the size of a mask, select the mask, hit Command T, and then just hold down Shift, make it a bit bigger by dragging, a bit bigger by dragging. That looks good to me. You can hit Return, and that is great. Now see how these are over the line? We'll get there in a minute. Next, let's hold down the Z, actually the space bar, sorry. Space bar, let's find the next one, the next blob. Yeah, there's a blob here at Châtelet-Les Halles. I think that's a shopping center. And let's draw with the pen tool again. Drag, 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 and close. And hit the V, or sorry, hold down the V. Here. That's good enough. Hold down the space bar. Last one should be Nation. Oh, we've got Gare de Lyon. Got another one. And drag, 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 drag. And there you go. Hold down the space bar. Let's look for Nation. There's Nation. Okay. Drag, 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 drag. Now, if you were doing this for real on a job, you would probably be a lot more precise with how you drag your blobs. Not today. Now, let's look back down in the timeline. We see the white solid has these different masks drawn on it. Each mask has a different color. It won't render in that color. You won't see this line. This is just for you keeping track of all your masks. That's why they're in different colors. Let's just move on. Let's zoom out. Fit again. We've got our 4 blobs. Just to make sure, let's just solo that layer. Select nothing. Those are our 4 blobs. That's lovely. We are going to make our red line active again by unlocking it. And we are going to have those white blobs. Let's make it visible again. We are going to make those white blobs hide the red line. Let's zoom in. Hold down the Z, and let's see, I don't know, let's go here. Now we don't want to see the red line, and we want to see the original map blob. To do that, select the red line. This is a big deal. This is making a track mat. You're making the white solid a track mat for the red line. Therefore, the white solid will reveal or cut a hole in the red line. We want it to cut a hole in the red line. So let's go to Turk Mat. By the way, if you do not see Mode, T, and Turk Mat, go down to Toggle Switches Modes and click it. See, you might have had this showing, and if you did, Toggle Switches Modes makes Mode, T, and Turk Mat available. So under Turk Mat, for the red line, select Alpha Inverted Mat. Boom. It cuts a hole in the red line. Just to make sure that that's exactly what's going on here, solo the red line, and you'll see it cut a hole in it. Let's go back to Fit, select nothing, and you'll see all these holes are cut in the red line. That reveals the map underneath, which is just great. Now, if you really wanted to, hold down Z, and you might want to adjust the mask. If you select the white solid, you see the mask again, which is just great. And I would like to hit the V key and drag that in a bit over there and drag that in over there. See, what happens around here doesn't really matter. What's more relevant is what happens where the red line is. So let's zoom out. Hit Z, Option, RAM Preview. We have our line drawing, check. We have it drawing underneath the white station indicators, the white blobs, and that's all we want. This is good. It's done. Just to confirm what we've done in terms of technical things, you drew a line, which is a shape layer. You animated the length or the end point of that line using trim paths. You drew a bunch of masks on a white solid, and then you made that white solid cut holes in the red line by making a track mat. So this is basically a line drawing and a track mat tutorial.